Have your referrals started drying up in the last couple of years? Or did you hit a point when you were doing a lot of referrals, they were coming in consistently, and then that pipe just kind of stopped flowing? Today's interview is with Shawn Freeman. He's the founder of Impactful MSP. You might have seen him out there. He's got a pretty big following, a guy up in Calgary, Canada. But what I like about Shawn, he's this really nice guy. He's super genuine, authentic, soft-spoken, just a sweet guy. He's sort of unassuming, but he actually is like a real heavy hitter in the area of true business kind of acumen. He coaches a lot of executives. So he just we stumbled across a couple of great little things that should be etched into the side of a mountain one day that he just sort of spit out in the interview. But he talks all about how to organically let your network grow with you so that over time your referrals actually increase in velocity rather than decreasing in velocity. And we just get into a bunch of other best practices for how to kill it in your MSP. So it's a good one. Let's do it. Shawn, it has been like a year since we've talked to each other, but I'm so glad you're on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Good to see you, Brian.
Yeah, it's always good to meet a Canadian out there just doing the Lord's work in the industry. And a lot of people might not know who you are, even though I think your following is probably bigger than mine. But do you want to just tell the people real quick a little bit about what you're doing right now, like who you are and kind of what your focus is in the channel?
Yeah. My focus is building impactful MSP and helping other MSP owners launch, get traction, and scale their MSPs. I had my own, built it from the ground up, started, I was the tech and managed to sell that when I was about 25 people, about 5 million in revenue. We exited right before the pandemic. We got a great multiple, great deal. And yeah, just trying to level up the industry, help other technical founders figure it out as well.
That's cool. So Impactful MSP is, you're doing kind of overall MSP development coaching, right? Yeah. Not in one particular area?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And you have people who working with you, or are you the sole coach?
There's one other person on my team, but I'm the coach for everything, yeah.
Cool, right, okay. Obviously, this is like the greatest story, is somebody who was a tech, built it, figured it out. Doesn't mean you did it perfectly, but you've achieved your goal, at least.
We definitely didn't do it perfectly, but we did pretty good.
Right. Okay. And now you're out here going, well, you love the journey. So you're the Sherpa now to help other people reach the ascent that they're looking for. Yeah. I want to jump right in actually with a coach to coach question. Do you find that when you're coaching MSPs, when they maybe are around, how much of your own story and history do you find yourself subconsciously projecting to the people that you coach? When you see them around maybe the key milestones or those like defining moments of your story, versus how much do you feel like you have like a well-rounded perspective versus just, your historical perspective on those kind of key areas?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. Yeah, because I'm just coaching from my experience, right? And so a lot of people will run into similar things that I had solved. And my coaching style is just sharing my experience and saying, here's what I ran into. Here's some of the details around that. Here's how I thought about it. And here's a system I built to solve it. And so bringing those together, I think really matters because, as you know, every MSP technical founder is very analytical. They want to know the why. They want to know the detail. And I think that matters. And so I think, making a decision to say, hey, if you've got a client that, maybe your trust level isn't super high, it's like, how can we be strategic about that and build in some goodwill and give a project away for free? And how do we justify that? Well, if we know our client lifetime value, then that's how, right? So it's like really digging into those details, because sometimes the fix is like, oh, client, they're saying they don't have enough money, but they really need to do this. And it's causing me a lot of problems. So it's just like, do it for them and say, look, in 6 months when you have money, we'll start charging you. but the amount of goodwill you're going to build, like just that's an example, right? So I think sharing those experiences. And the other thing too is that when you're solving a problem in an MSP, no matter what it is, there's always like unintended consequences, and you learn over time. Some of those are bad and some of those are good, right? So if you can do something in a way where it has good unintended consequences after the fact, then you're setting up your business to just flourish, right?
Let's talk about that. Good unintended consequences. How do you set yourself up to do something unintended? Is that just like, hey, following best practices has all of these unforeseen benefits that you weren't even focusing on, or is it something deeper than that?
Yeah, definitely. There's layers, right? Because the thing about the MSP space is it's a long-term relationship business, right? Your relationships with your clients can span 10 plus years. So if you do something at the beginning of that relationship, or like year 2 or year 3, and that client's having a bit of a struggle, and you go out of your way to help them, because you think it's right. And I'll come back to this, but then you're going to have a really big difference in that person's business, right? You're going to make an impact. And that's honestly why I called it Impactful MSP, because I feel that MSPs do make an impact in their clients' companies and their success and their bottom line, right? So, and not just from a technology as an investment perspective, but if technology works really amazingly, then they're going to be able to make a lot of money. If it works really poorly, then they might not make any money, right? It's really a significant change for that client. And so if you can, like I said, if you can come up with ways to, just go out of your way and you earn that trust, right? Because that's the thing, is trust is earned, right, over time. And the thing too is that, like you said, we're not perfect. Over my time building my MSP, I learned that every time we made a mistake, it was actually an opportunity to turn it around in a way that they didn't expect, right? Because it actually is a trust builder. So sometimes it's interesting. You can look at things and say, well, yeah, we made a mistake, but we fixed it so quickly and so well and beyond what they expected that it actually gained us trust overall, right? And so those are some of those unintended consequences of, like, say, even a mistake happening, or, something failed, right?
Yeah. There's this beautiful thing about conflict, that it is either an opportunity for your relationship to deepen, or it's an excuse for your relationship to drift apart.
Yeah.
And that has entirely to do with your ability to manage confrontation well, which is about communication, humility, honesty, things like that. So when you make a mistake and then go, well, but if you would have just done what I said 5 years ago, then I wouldn't have made that mistake.
I told you so.
And, yeah, exactly. And then versus I screwed up, LOL, I'm a human, goodbye. That's also not really stewarding the situation. But it's like, your best friends in life, you've had heated conversations with, where you really strongly, you were at an impasse with them. And the reason you're best friends is that you've been through those and survived them, and your relationship is so strong because you survived those moments. Versus a friend like, hey, I've never argued with you. Well, then I don't really know that I truly trust you, because I don't know what you're going to do when we are trying to go opposite directions. So to your point, I think those can be, I forget the exact word you use, but it can actually be a real an opportunity. It can be a real opportunity when you screw up, which is inevitable, to manage that relationship.
Yeah, you don't know how much you can trust somebody until they screw up, and then how they manage it after, right? It's like, without that screw up, you don't get that insight. And that's where that opportunity is, right?
I want to circle back to something that you were kind of maybe alluding to a little bit at the beginning about, hey, in this situation, which happens all the time, especially in the early stages as an MSP, you've got a client who need a certain thing that would be a project. It would increase their IT posture and your quality of life.
Yeah.
But they're resistant, or they have no budget, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a couple schools of thought, and I'm really curious to get into this with you, because a lot of MSPs are just like tradespeople who don't really they don't really have the like monetization chops that ends up, let me say it another way. Sometimes they don't have the confidence in those key moments to charge what they are owed for life-changing and business-changing projects. Because they know I'll make it up on the back end as long as I just keep not getting fired.
Yeah.
And then there's the overcorrection, which is I'm going to gouge the hell out of these clients because they're stuck with me and I can. Very few people actually think that way. They don't actually talk like Ebenezer Scrooge, but they act that way with their mental posture towards their clients. So what I'm curious about is how does an MSP find the balance of actually having reasonable professional boundaries while also guiding their clients through those low maturity moments without just doing managed services for free?
Yeah, for sure. I think number one, just on the client and the companies that are charging more than they should be, more than market, and the value is not proportional. I think those people, it'll catch up to them. We've all gone into environments where you can tell they've been oversold, and it's just like, well, we could save you a lot of money. And then it becomes just like a psychology thing. Like, do we tell them we can save them $100,000, or are they not going to believe us if we do that? Right. Which is very interesting. And I've been there for sure. So you got to be a bit strategic. And the way I always tell people, so then number two is that MSPs are really bad at packaging and pricing their stuff. Right. So I always coach MSPs to build, if you had a magic wand, what plan, what stack, it's all about the stack, what's included in your bundle. What would you include, right? Make a list of that and then just sell that, right? Because then your people that are buying that are the people that are aligned, as long as you've done the go-to-market and aligned why they need those things, what the business outcomes are with that magic wand stack, then they'll see the value, right? And you only want to work with people that understand your value, right? So how do you align that? So I think that's number two. If you can get those two things in place, align your stack with your package, then you have clients that value technology, value the things that you're selling. You've cut out the people that are just trying to, pay $10, $20 an endpoint and really not have proper IT. Because honestly, not all revenue is good revenue. So we need to accept that. And I think that's a big mistake a lot of MSPs make is, if somebody wants to give me a check, I'll do whatever they want me to, right? Like I'll let them build my package.
Right.
And that's not the way to run a business, because then you can't deliver consistent results on those things. And so
that's a lesson that I think I just learned it again for like the 19th time, about, not all revenue is good revenue. And for me, I get so excited at helping somebody with their problem, even though I'm like, I see that they are the problem.
Yeah.
I know that, but I'm like, I think I can help them anyway. And then, cut to 6 months later, like nobody's winning.
Yeah.
They're paying.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like you go to somebody and you say, hey, there's this package that, generally has 10x return, and they're still afraid to buy it. It's like, hey, Brian, if I give you $1 and then you did some work for 6 months and you got $10 back, like, would you not do that? Like, I would do that every time. Like, where can I sign up? Right. Same with IT services and our clients. So it's really about communicating that. I think that's the other piece too, is that technology, the technical founders generally forget the communication part. And they don't realize that just sit down with them and have a business conversation with your client and say like, look, you run a business, I run a business. Yeah. If I'm not profitable, I'm going to be gone and you're going to have a risk, right? So why don't we both win together? And nowadays with AI, the conversation really needs to be all this stack talk and support and cybersecurity stuff just needs to go away. We're not competing on selling cybersecurity anymore. It needs to be standard, needs to be fundamental, because I don't want to work with clients that don't value not getting hacked because they don't have basic fundamentals, because then you can have a more valuable conversation. Once that stuff, you've got that foundation poured for your house and we'll call it support and cybersecurity. Once you have a foundation, you can start to build a really nice house. And you can say, oh, you've got all these cloud tools. You don't have any tech debt. Let's start to integrate those tools. Let's
Right,
start to
right.
automate
Now
that.
it's all unto something, right? Like, okay, we did the basics. Now we can actually take your business somewhere exciting, and we get some of the kind of credit on the long tail as being the partner who helped you
Yeah.
get that leverage. Like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I want to go back to something you said though, because it's about having a conversation about a business conversation. So
Yeah.
communication is by far 100% the number one weakness of the average MSP.
Yeah.
By far. Like, by an order of magnitude, it's the largest problem universally. Everybody thinks it's lead gen. No, the reason that you have you don't have any leads is because you don't know how to communicate clearly.
Yeah.
Period. So you don't know how to communicate internally. Your team doesn't know what's happening. You don't know how to communicate to your own clients what you're doing for them, and you don't know how to communicate to the market what you could do for them.
Yeah.
Because we get so stuck in the nuts and bolts of it. So, I mean, when I would steal, look, the easiest lead to get, the ideal lead is somebody who hates their current MSP, right? Because they've already bought managed services, they have an appetite, they have a frame of reference, and they've already got a line item towards managed services. Now, usually if people hate their MSP, generally speaking, it's because they were undersold. Like, they're probably not being managed correctly. So usually they end up needing to spend more than they are. But people are usually willing to spend more if they're like, I'm paying $110 a user for a crappy service versus $135 for great service. Okay, I'll take that deal all day.
But most MSPs, I think you've found probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most MSPs will be like, oh, you want to change? Because not a lot of prospects are going to say we hate our current MSP. They're going to be like, we're thinking about changing, right? They're going to play hard to get. They're not going to tell you all the reasons they want to buy, right? And so you don't necessarily know. So what'll happen is they'll say, okay, well, what are you paying now? We can match it, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then you spiral down and you become this MSP that's only capable of offering that same poor service later.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where sales training comes in. I mean, if you don't know, if they're playing hard to get, your job is to slow down and. But I heard somebody say go Columbo, and just go, what do you mean? And ask the folksy questions and just get him to elaborate. Robert Gillette's also very good at that. Well, hang on, changing MSPs is a lot of work. Are you sure it's worth it? Yeah, the known as the Sandler negative reversal. So yeah, you got to be doing those things. And if you're just going, if you're price matching to win deals, especially when somebody is unhappy, you're leaving 30% on the table.
And not only that, you're
overnight.
not going to deliver. That's more than your margin. A great MSP is 20%. So you're losing 10% now by just signing that client up.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You're paying them.
But so communication being the core problem, there's something I want to spin off into a couple topics with you, because you work with a lot of executives, and I'm excited to hear some of your sort of standard advice there. But communication is the core problem with customer relationships. It's a core problem with upselling and sort of getting a higher seat at the table with existing clients. A lot of MSPs are like, no, my MSPs don't come to QBRs. They don't care about that. They don't ever want to talk about this. That's a sign that you are not explaining it in a way that they find valuable. That's actually a sign. That's a you problem, you know? If nobody wants to talk to you, there's one variable there's only one common denominator in that sentence.
Yeah.
You, right? Everybody is not a common denominator. Like, nobody wants to talk to me. That's because you're not fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Or nobody gets why they're talking to you, or you're bad at it, or you're slow at it, or you're too frequently. There's something that you're doing wrong. So you need to like get back to basics of how do I talk to people about this? But that's communication, which we'll get more into. I started this because you said have a business conversation with your clients. Now, this is maybe a mean question to make you answer on the record, but does the average MSP owner have enough business acumen to have a meaningful business conversation with their clients?
Not generally, no.
So maybe that's our problem.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we're stuck in the tech, because we can't bring any value at the executive level. Thoughts?
Well, I think it's not that. And if you're talking to a company that's 50 million and you're 2, you can still have a conversation because the fundamentals of business still apply. So as long as you understand what those are, right, you can sit down and have a conversation. And the other thing too is if you can get really curious about what your clients like what their outcomes are. Like, what do they value? What are they trying to get out of working with you? And like when they think about technology, what's the perfect world for them, right? So ask questions and get curious and find out that information, because that tells you things that you can go and say, oh, I can help you down that road, or I can point you in the right direction. And now you become that trusted advisor, right? And even I was speaking with somebody the other day, and they're planning a conversation with a pretty substantial customer. And they initially had like broken down their stack and said, here's all the tools we're going to give you and the price and the cost, and here's the hours you use. And I said, scrap all that. Go to them and say, here's the price, and say, look, you want me to be a sustainable business that can support you. And if I'm on a ski hill, somebody's still there to help you out, right? I can't do that in the current situation.
Yeah.
This is market. If you don't believe me, here's a prompt, throw it in your ChatGPT. It'll tell you that we're within the right price range. And if you want to do more market research, go to the market. But if you want me to run a sustainable business, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's not about price anymore.
Yeah. Like Shawn, that is so magical, because you're explaining price instead of this adversarial, like, this is why you should give me more money. It's like, it is in your best interest that I make enough money on this account to care about it and to actually do a good job. And if you can't get me to sell you a brand new Tesla for $10,000, I'm going to have to take the battery out of it.
Yeah.
And all the windows and the seats. Like, I can't give you a functioning brand new car for $10,000. So that's not in your best interest for me to do that.
Yeah.
When we were converting break fix to managed services, I've said this many times, but like we kind of partnered with a break fix guy, a bunch of break fix clients he had never converted for 20 years. And I just made a little deck explaining the concept and went one at a time and sat down and said, right now we only get paid when things go wrong, which means the only thing you're relying on to have a good relationship here is integrity. Do you really want to roll the dice that we are in high integrity, that you're not getting screwed?
Yeah.
Also, if this guy, Eric, dies, you die.
Yeah.
You're done. It's all in his head, and we don't have any of his passwords to get into your into your account. So instead, we made this pivot that said, you actually want us to be excited when you call.
Yeah.
Like, we have to make money on this account. And by the way, we're not sitting over here crapping on golden toilets. Like, this is not the most profitable business out there.
Yeah.
You don't get into this line of work because you're just a gold digger. Like, you have to love it, and we do love it, but we have to make money on you. And that means I can explain it to you if you want, but it's starting at $135 a person.
Yeah.
And that's what it starts at. And there's no way around that to get anything close to quality of service. If somebody says they're going to be $75 a user, it's impossible that they're giving you the same service as me. It's literally impossible, because my tools alone cost more than that.
And if they were, I would just outsource my business to them and be the middleman and take the spread, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'd be making more money than I am now, right?
Right.
That's the thing, right? So, and I think so I see MSPs go through this stage where they find some clients and they kind of just do what they want them to do, and they end up with a bit of a break fix and maybe some managed service business. And then they're like, okay, this isn't sustainable. There's no standardization. I'm being super reactive, so I really can't be strategic in my business. And then they go back and have these conversations, and they're hard conversations. There's lots of fear involved. But they have to build this confidence and like knowing it's the right conversation to have. And so once the MSP owners decided and they're in that place, and they start to have these conversations, that confidence grows, right? Because most of the people are like, yeah, I guess that's my options, because that's what the market's selling. Nobody's selling break fix anymore. Right. And if you're priced correctly, right? So they're not going to move. And so these people convert, and then they're happier than ever, and they're a better client, and now you're making money. And then the ones that for some reason are like, no, I still don't want to pay that, and I'm going to go find somebody on the corner of the street to do my IT for me. You get rid of those, and then you realize you're making more money. At the end of the day, your financials, we got rid of that client, and the next month we made more money. Wow.
Right.
It's the bottom line that really matters when you're growing your business. You need that cash flow. So I think there's a huge thing there. And then as you start working with people that value what you're offering and what you provide them, you thought referrals were great before. Those people are the people you want to work with. Those are the people you want to build your network with. And that's how you scale your business. That's really how you get that traction and grow your business to 5+ million.
Yeah. This is a good segue, actually, because I want to talk to you about growing your referral network. This is something that you help executives with a lot. One of those like little platitudes that I just hate, the cheesy things, but your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Dude, it is so unbelievably true.
Yeah.
That sentence, and here's the dilemma, well, you already know the dilemma, but talk to me about why an MSP who runs on referrals, they've been around 10 plus years, the referrals dry up. Every MSP has hit that moment where the referrals dry and then they go, what do we do now? So before we get into the what do you do now part, for starters, why does that happen to everybody?
Yeah. I think most people, they get there and they're like, okay, well, I guess we better hire a salesperson, right? Like that's what everybody does. And then they struggle with that for a few years and maybe they get lucky, maybe they don't, right? But really why it does that, in my experience that I've found working with people that have gotten there, is they stop building their network. They've gotten too busy in the business. They're working in the business. They're trying to build this thing up to $1 million, $2 million.
Yeah.
And their heads down, just focused on that. And they're not out there building their network, going to entrepreneur groups, going to, associations that your ICP is at, and making relationships. And the best sales that I've ever done feel good. Like, again, that's why I love your company name, is like, because you're making friends, you're giving them something that really helps them. And as a person, you're like, I love that. And so, and I think we both align on that. And that's why we're here today.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when I was in my MSP selling before we exited, I was making more friends and selling to them after they were friends. That was my pipeline, is like, meet somebody new. How can I help them? Make them my friend. And then they just, oh, I got to buy from you.
Right.
Like, they came to me saying, oh, we need your services, and our current guys, they're okay, but I like you.
Right. So you made time. I just think the way you said that is, I'm going to punctuate it because it's really an important thing you just said. You're growing your network early on because you have to, and because you have nothing else to do because you don't have any clients.
Yeah.
And then you get into this thing, it starts growing. Referrals have a little bit of a long tail. So your friends kind of keep letting you get some clients, those clients become referrals. But then you hit that topple point where you're like, I've been doing nothing but this business. I've been inside of this silo for 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't go to conferences. I don't go to chamber events. I don't meet anybody who I'm not trying to directly sell to. And that only happens 3-4 times a year. So like, my network is all the same people. They're all aging and they're getting more mature in their business. And I'm not meeting anybody new. So yeah, your network it's a pond. You can't fish limitlessly in a pond.
No.
You can catch fish a lot faster than it takes for fish to grow fish. Mm-hmm. So you have to get more ponds. Yeah.
And you need to, if you need shade from a tree, you got to plant the seed today. If you need that shade in 10 years, right? And so networks, if they're authentic and you're building people that you truly like to be around and like to be connected with, and you're learning from them, that's the other thing about your network, is you learn a ton from them that you can take into your business.
Yeah.
But then in 1, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, that will come back to you, and boom, then your funnel is full, right? Once we were in business for 9 years and I had been nurturing my network the whole time, like, we didn't have a lead problem, right? People were just like, every month we just close a new deal or two without even really trying to find more leads.
I've got a client right now. Shout out to Mike. He's looking down the barrel at a 200K MRR quota or something like that in 2026. But he's got like a 90K deal, MRR deal that's coming from his network. He's like, it's going to happen. because I've been, I know this guy because he's just like goes out, meets people, they like him, and it works.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about that though, because I will say that referral networks for me personally, when I was coming up in my like early 20s, of course I had referrals, but I think I took for granted, like I'm outgoing and I'm likable and I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to knock on 100 doors a day. I think I just took for granted that that's like a given for everybody. And I didn't really even all the way think of it as a part of my sales motion. I thought of the intentional outbound sales activity and the stuff I'm tracking in my CRM.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and more mature, I realized, first of all, this is sales activity. And second of all, you should track your referral conversations, just like you should track your cold conversations. But let me ask you this, like, how important is being, God, I wish there was a better way to ask this, but there isn't. If there's a listener who isn't particularly likable, isn't particularly social,
Yeah.
what are they supposed to do about that? Like, how important is being outgoing and a charming person to building a business network?
Yeah. You were talking earlier about something where, like as a business owner, if something's not working, it's on you. Mm-hmm. Right. So if your goal, and one of the first things I do with people that join my program is help them. I ask them to create their 10-year vision. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Because a lot of people don't have a clue. They haven't thought of it. They've got their 1-year plan. Maybe they want to go to Disneyland next year. Right. Yeah. But if you have a 10-year goal that really amps you up and makes you excited, and getting there means you have to be personable and you got to go out and talk to people, and maybe you can be a little charismatic, but you don't have to be overly. You want to be authentic. I think there's something about authenticity. We can't lose that.
Yeah.
Then it's on you to do it, whether you like it or not. You got to figure it out. And I've found you can figure it out in a way that you actually do enjoy, right? Like, what are your hobbies? Oh, you like to do X, Y, Z. Well, go build your network in there, right?
Yeah.
You can match it up, right? And at the end of the day, it's just absolute accountability. And if something's not working, if you're not willing to do what you know you need to do, as long as you know you need to do something and you know what it is, then it's on you. You're deciding. Your inaction is actually a decision.
Right. That's the quote. That's the pull quote, is inaction is a decision. Essentially, whatever you are accepting, you're choosing.
Yeah.
So if you accept,
you get what you tolerate.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you get what you tolerate.
You get what you tolerate. And I asked that question about likability for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it's something that an unlikable person probably is uncomfortable for them to have to ask that. But look, let's just call a spade a spade. There's a full spectrum of personalities that are out here running these businesses, and likability, we can say whatever we want till the cows come home, but being a charming human being is going to help you in life.
Here's the one thing I've found that like MSP owners have in common that makes anybody likable is your willingness to help. You want to help people. So go out, find your network, and then take your skill and your genius and say, how can I help these people knowing what I know? And I'm not even saying charge them for it. I'm just saying, hey, have you heard about this app? Hey, have you heard about that? Help them.
Yeah.
Like give, right? And not asking them to sign a quote. Like give away all your free advice. Just be like, hey man, you got Microsoft, do you back it up? Oh, I didn't know I had to. Great. Go get this app, or ask your provider to add it in. Make sure you do that. Like be the guy that's helpful. Then you'll be likable. It doesn't matter if you're introvert or,
Well, yeah, that's just it. Is likability is this moving target. First of all, it's very subjective, but we're talking about charisma, and you've mentioned two things now. Being helpful is likable.
Yeah.
That's how you get people to like you. be valuable,
Yeah.
which means show value and give it to them, make it available to them in a non-threatening way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the second one you mentioned is authenticity. Like, you never want to lose authenticity, because authenticity is charisma.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I've been working on this episode, Shawn. I haven't recorded it yet. I've been working on it for like 6 months, about the science of charisma. And I don't know, maybe I'll do a TED talk on it one day, because charisma is science.
Yeah.
It's pattern recognition. It's biology programming. And there's a reason the reason everybody does everything is because they're designed to survive. And people figure out, how do I get better results from the human beings around me in my tribe? Well, that equals charisma. Like, how do I curry more favor? That's what being charismatic is. And guess what? It's a science. It's not actually as much of an art as you think it is. You can just copy people who are charismatic, and you can be charismatic. But a big part of it is being a trustworthy person, which is feeling comfortable in your own skin. And so telling the truth, being authentic, being helpful, all of a sudden you're going to do a great job. Because I was going to ask you the question, what's more important, being likable with a little bit of value, or being very valuable but not particularly likable when you're out there networking? But I realize it's a flawed question.
Yeah.
Because being really likable with nothing too much to offer, it's like, that's called being a realtor. You're in every single group. Yeah, or comedian, right. But like, I don't have anything to offer you, but I'm everywhere, and I'm super charming, and I'm going to text you 100 times a day. And that's how realtors get off the ground when they have, they ask for 100 referrals a day or whatever.
Yeah.
So
the other way to be likable, I'll give you another one, is there's a trick, and it's like a psychological science trick, is like, if you want something for yourself, give it to somebody else. Right? Hey, Brian, I've got a perfect person that might be a client prospect for you. I'm going to make an intro. I think they could use your services.
Yeah. That is so true. I gave somebody a referral that I don't even like this person, but they sent me like 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So I sent him one, and I do think he'll do a good job.
Yeah.
But people ask me for referrals, dude, literally every single day. A vendor is like, hey, can you refer me a bunch of MSPs? And then this guy was like, hey, I have an MSP that I was looking up solutions to his problem, and ChatGPT told me you, so I looked you up. Do you mind if I connect the two of you?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, dude. And
Great.
like, he's not really my cup of tea. Like, I wouldn't go fishing with the guy, but I sent him a deal. So yeah, I love that, man.
So that's like MSP owners, they can look and be like, oh, I've got an accounting customer or prospect. I probably know somebody that needs accounting.
Yeah.
If I hear about that, make the intro.
Yeah.
It always comes back every time.
Could it be this simple for somebody listening to grow their business to just go out?
So here's the problem, is it's simple, but it's not easy, because MSP owners are stuck in chaos. They need to get unstuck from the chaos. I always say the first hire of an MSP going from 1 to 2 people should be someone that can take over 80% of your job. Because then you get 80% of your time back. You can hire a tier 3 tech, and that's true. And then you get 80% of your time. Now you can go network. Now you can go for lunches. You can go and think about, oh, who could I refer to that person? That's a prospect. Like, imagine that you're out there in business and you're like, oh, I'd really love to do business with that company. And then you had a prospect for them and you made that intro. Like, they're guaranteed going to sign up with you eventually.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So, but the thing is, like, that's where all these MSPs get stuck. They don't have the time. They don't even have time to get on a coaching call with you and I.
Right.
To learn one nugget that could transform their life. Right. They're too stuck in the chaos, fighting the fires, putting up with crappy clients. Right.
Right. Wow. That is a good one nugget that could change your life. I've had a few of those. Right.
Oh,
like somebody says one sentence and you're like, that literally just changed my life. And I still think about it. Do you have any examples actually? What's an example? I'm sure you've gotten a lot of coaching.
Oh yeah.
And did you have a coach that you were working with, or did anybody coach you as you were running your MSP?
for sure. And still have one.
Amazing. Any that come to mind? I know it's like putting you on the spot. Any of those juicy little nugs that change things for you?
Yeah, I think the idea around like people struggle with delegation, including myself. I definitely did when I was building my business. Somebody told me they're like, the reason you don't delegate is because your ego.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, there's somebody that can do that twice as good as you, and you're not letting them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Now I try to delegate as much as I can. I try to delegate everything I can.
Right.
Until I'm like left with like, oh, only I can go and do the podcast with you, right?
Yeah, you couldn't delegate this. I wouldn't have hit record if you're like, yeah. Shawn told me to talk on his behalf.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Okay. So the reason you didn't delegate was you had ego and then you figured it out.
Yeah.
Any other good ones?
And I think just quickly on that, I think that's very applicable to tech people because they're perfectionists.
Yeah.
When really it's just their ego.
Yeah, for sure. Perfection is 100% made up word. Perfect is a made up concept.
Yeah.
Perfectionism equals fear. I'm 100% convinced.
100%.
Your fear of it going wrong or being not good enough. You're afraid that it isn't enough and that you're not enough. So you have to constantly strive to improve it with this make-believe goal that you will never achieve.
Yeah.
So that you nobody can ever tell you that you weren't good enough because you're never done working on it. So it's fear of it not being good enough. That's what perfectionism is.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a nugget that'll change somebody's life. How about that?
It's a huge nugget.
No, do you have anything? What's going on in your head?
Yeah, I think the other thing too is just, I think a lot of people don't ask for help enough, right?
Yeah.
And this is not like a subtle sell or anything. Like if you're struggling with something in your business, you're like, I can't get leads. I can't get that. Like just ask your peers, your MSP peers for help, other people, other business owners. Every business is the same. Like all your clients' businesses have the same problems as you, right? And so if you're not asking, then how are you going to get the answer? You're going to learn the hard way. You're going to pay the tuition. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And so that's the thing is like, and back to the absolute accountability, like you're a business owner, you have absolute accountability for everything that's going right and everything that's going wrong and everything in the middle. Right. So if you're not growing, that's your fault.
For sure. Wow. Yes. I love it.
So ask for help. Ask you for help. Ask me for help. There's tons of great people out there. The community is super supportive. Somebody on Reddit asked for like a specific, like, oh, how do I hire? And I have like a first 10 hires playbook. I'm like, damn me, I'll send it to you. Like, no big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a really special community that people can take advantage of in that way. It's like how the open source community is. It's like a community of people who are actually making the entire world run for free and nobody knows about it. And they're just like agonizing in threads and forums together, like making Linux exist and matter. But yeah, you're right. Asking people for help. One of the things that somebody told me once is other people's mistakes are free because everybody thinks that learning from your mistakes is the best way to learn. No. That's just the last stop on the journey. But there was 100 opportunities for you to learn that lesson first.
Yeah.
It just needed the perspective and the humility to learn it from someone else's mistake. Listen to someone else explain how they ran their business into a wall, and then look at yourself and go, what am I doing that resembles what they were doing? And then will I have the courage to accept at least some of the advice they gave me and contextualize it for myself?
Yeah.
And make a change in my behavior? Or am I going to have to just learn the lesson I just watched that person learn, but it will cost me dearly and it would have been free if I had learned otherwise?
Yeah. Like I always look at the strategy of a business as the things that that you say no to, the things you intentionally don't do. That's your strategy. Right. Because
this is good.
Like you just like think about that. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to undercut my competitor to win the job. Like I'm going to win it in another way.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like I would go to the table at my MSP and be like, hey, FYI, we're going to be the top most expensive quote you see. I already know that. I'll tell you that.
Uh-huh.
But by the time we're done talking, you're going to want to pay me more.
That's so good.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
can you imagine, listener, having the stones to like having that Shawn Freeman confidence?
well, that's the thing is you need to build that confidence. And the way you do that is you have a really proactive operation. You're providing unreal, valuable outcomes to your clients.
Yeah.
And you already have really awesome relationships with your prospects.
Yeah. You had earned confidence because you had proven it to yourself and to your clients.
Yeah.
And that's a matter of you being as intentional with your strategies, you said, and just saying no to all those things. You know, we could go.
Just to give you one more thing. Do you know a guy named Dan Sullivan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like
who's
awesome. He's like a guru business coach.
Okay.
His quote that I really, really love is the number one job of a founder and entrepreneur is to protect their confidence. So look him up. He's got a ton of amazing content, gives away all the answers.
Yeah, right. Is he a real estate guy or something?
I don't think so. He's been running Strategic Coach is his business for quite a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the number one goal of an entrepreneur is to protect their confidence.
The number one job of an entrepreneur is to protect their confidence because confidence drives everything, right? It eliminates the fears, sets you up for success.
Right.
Confident people want to work with other confident people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't want to work with an IT guy that's a pushover, right?
Right.
Because then I'll be like, what am I missing? Like, he's not really an expert.
Or there are some people who like to work with pushovers, and those are the kind of people who make terrible clients.
Those are other people's clients.
Yeah, those are nightmares.
Those are other people's clients.
Okay, we could go on and on about some of the things that come up in your executive coaching. Just as a guy who's been coached as long as you have, who's coached as many executives as you have, but we've talked about confidence, we've talked about communicating, we've talked about kind of growing your referral network. Let me say, I want to get tactical for a minute here before I let you go. And I know I've kept you for a long time already, but if an MSP is listening and is going, okay, yeah, that's nice. You're just saying manufacture more time and brain space and then grow your network. Maybe that sounds impossible to somebody who's in the thick of it, who's like, I can't wait, but I don't want to wait 5 years until I have time because then I won't have any 5-year-old trees that I planted 5 years ago.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to somebody who comes to you in that situation?
Start small. The first thing I would do if I was in that situation, obviously figure out like why you can't hire somebody. Generally, that's your pricing and your packaging, and you need to clean up your client base. So do that. Start on that work. Okay. And then the other thing is just book a lunch. Like look 6 weeks out and start booking a weekly lunch with somebody. Do one lunch a week. You got to eat. They got to eat.
Right.
Start planning
to say, hey, I'd love to connect, see how business is going. I'll treat you to lunch next week.
Yeah. And then don't try to sell them anything at lunch.
Right.
And there's a pitfall quote that I think summarizes everything we've talked about is if you ask for advice, you get money twice.
Man, we need a Shawn Magic 8-ball that I just set on my desk.
Yeah, give me the quote.
Yes, like give me another. If you ask for advice, you get paid twice.
Yeah, you get the advice, and then they try to help you solve that problem, right? So go for lunch with somebody and be like, "Hey, like I'm trying to work on my leads. If you were me, what would you do?"
Yeah,
guarantee you they refer somebody within a month, guaranteed.
Man, that's so magic.
Or they say they need to sign up.
Frankly, you could literally go to an MSP who's like 10 years ahead of you in maturity and go, hey, you don't know me. I'm downtown and I'd love to treat you to lunch and just ask you some questions about your business.
Yeah.
Like you'll never go broke feeding off of a like rich man's ego.
No.
Like, you know, he wants to give you advice.
Everybody who's been where you are will want to help you.
Yeah. Right. Man. Shawn, this is really fantastic. I've got a strong feeling that a lot of our listeners would benefit from a more meaningful conversation with you. What is something that, if somebody wanted to connect with you, what are some of the kind of key questions that you help MSPs answer?
Yeah, for sure. Just help them put a roadmap in place, like for their next 10 years. What's that 10-year vision? Where are they today? How do they get out of that chaos? How do they free up some of their time, be more intentional, plant seeds that are going to build trees in 5-10 years, right?
Yeah.
This isn't the like, call me and I'll give you a cold calling script, right? Because that doesn't work as effectively as this long-term sustainable growth, right? I could go start any business tomorrow and utilize my network that I built building my MSP.
Yeah,
and get value. I could be selling medical supplies and they'd probably help me.
Right. So if somebody has, you're a real go-giver, you have a lot of value to offer. By the way, your LinkedIn content is so good. Like, you were one of the guys that was a real kind of like inspo to me. I'm like, man, you just do a good job with your videos. You give meaningful advice on when you post videos. I was like really in your tractor beam in my algorithm for a while, and I was just like eating it up every single day for a long time.
Thank you.
But if somebody wants to connect with you, Shawn, what's the best way that they could do so?
Yeah, Shawn at impactfulmsp.com. Shoot me an email. Go to the website. There's book a free call link there. Happy to see where you are, see how I can help. And even if you don't sign up, I'll share whatever system I've got that could help you out.
Yeah, and he means that. We had our introductory call I was like, hey, I just like what you're doing and I want to meet you. And we had a long conversation and have had a few since. So we met because I reached out to you, I think. Maybe you reached out to me, but I'm pretty sure I reached out to you like, I like what you're doing. Let's talk. So He really means that. Shawn, thank you for your time and all of your awesome advice today. I'm sure you got plenty more of things in the chamber to offer MSPs who connect with you. And I appreciate finally getting the chance to get you on the pod.
Thanks for having me, man. Great to see you.